Hello, today is May 14th, so the scriptures were from Proverbs 14 and Jer.25. In Proverbs 14, I like verse 9, stubborn fools make fun of guilt, but there is forgiveness among decent people. That's a good scripture because people often don't confess to things because of the guilt and embarrassment they'll feel, but if you really, if you really are showing the kindness that God wants you to show, you wouldn't make people feel like embarrassed about things. You would be understanding about things like that, so they would feel open to talking to you about stuff like or whatever. And being understanding is good, and not being judgmental towards people.
And something else that this chapter goes into is slowing down our actions. In verse 29, it says, he that is slow to wrath is of great understanding. But when you're hasty of spirit, you exalt folly. That means you show foolishness. Or it says, a person of great understanding is patient. Patient with word, patient in action, patient in reaction, patient in life. But it also says someone who's short temper is at the height of stupidity. You can be tall, as far as in stature physically, but you don't want to be tall as far as craziness and not have full growth in the things of God. And again, that's the fruits of the Spirit, where it's love, joy, peace, long suffering, patience, meekness, gentleness. Against such there is no law. What about in Jeremiah?
Wasn't that about how Jeremiah was in exile, right?
They were about to go into captivity, and it was prophesied that 70 years they would be in Babylon. Go ahead.
So God doesn't make mistakes, or I'm not gonna say that, but he does make mistakes, but also in whatever situation you may be in, you should make the most of it. So even it could be worse, like we were like African Americans or just Africans were in slavery at one point, and we have a lot more. Our conditions are a lot better. They're not perfect, I say that, but they're a lot better than they used to be. So we can make the most of what we have, even in quarantine, even though it feels dreary. We can still make the most of it because that's what Jeremiah did, and that's what a lot of saints in the Bibles did, or a lot of prophets did. Make the most of it.
Make the most of it, and God promises to be with us throughout the end of time in every situation. And the chapter before this one, in Jeremiah 24, he said, even when you're in captivity, I will be with you. I will bring them again to a good place, to their land, and I will build them up and not pull them down. I will plant them and not pluck them, and I will give them a heart to know me. That's the reason why God has us to go through our afflictions and our troubles, our trials. In Psalms 119, the psalmist says, it was good that I was afflicted so that I would get to know the Lord and to be one with him, aligned with his will. So the Lord has an end date to suffering, just like it was prophesied that at the end of 70 years, when 70 years are accomplished, when this coronavirus is accomplished, God has a termination date. And we want to be in our rightful places so that God will be glorified and we will get some good out of this quarantine and pandemic. Amen. Have a good evening and be patient.